All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. The guaranteed last matchup of the day. FourCourtJester and the Shane Goocher filling in for Mr. Kevin Nocky, who, he made other plans. I was just like, oh, all right. Okay, so I'll give it to Xander and Shane. He's like, Xander disappeared. It's like, all right, Shane, me and you.
Hello. That's right, buddy. Because it's been a while.
Voice, your sexy tones. Oh,
thank you.
Also, that's it's a nice tree in your background.
That is the shaving, not the shavings, the cuttings of a Christmas tree.
Shaved a tree.
It took a lot of razors, a lot of time, very meticulous, but we got it done.
Fun stuff.
My significant other wanted the house to smell like a Christmas tree, so instead of having an actual Christmas tree, we did the next best thing. Though that is not their permanent resting spot.
I hope.
I don't know where they're gonna go. She's the crafty one. I just yell and talk. This draft is underway though, Sean.
Yep.
And once again, Evil Geniuses is afraid of Dat Glarong Kerrigan. They'd rather face a Tychus. They'd rather face an Arthas. They'd rather face any other hero but Glarong's Kerrigan, as evident by Game 1. And they ban it once again, and Glorious Gaming once again banning Stitches. So the same two bans, the same 2 games in a row, and no surprise at first pick Tychus.
Yeah, not a surprise whatsoever. But Tychus going the way of Evil Geniuses, and once again, third map, so we don't actually get to see this often. We wanted to go to Blackheart's Bay, but because of Dave's stupid rule, you can't actually go on a map that you've won on. So we're going to go to the Dragonshire. So this is my second Dragonshire game of the day. And, game number 1, it felt rather strange to see the Dragon Knight in his current iteration. You can't target him with helpful spells. And because of that, it's a little strange because he feels almost so weak. His scaling was not touched. His damage was not touched. But because you can't shield him, you can't health ward him, you can't indirectly heal him whatsoever, it almost feels like he's very weak. So I'm curious to see what kind of tempo we're going to see in this game. But it's definitely, overall, with the new patch meta, things seem a little more drawn out.
Yes, they do, just between all the different variables that go into that equation of games being longer. And I think it's interesting to see, it's Alpha Blizzard just experimenting. They want to say which one is better. They're trying to find the happy ground between, the core having tankiness and, the early game pushing having some sort of significance and whatnot. But I personally, I like it to an extent, but we're going to see how it plays out, especially once teams start to figure out the meta, as there's been a rather large shift in the meta just over the past couple of days. And once teams start to figure that out, I'm sure we'll see things start to pan out a little bit more. But right now, otherwise, it's pretty normal picks right now. Tychus for Evil Geniuses, Arthas and Falstead for Glorious Gaming, and then Evil Geniuses picking up Anubarak and Brightwing. It's very interesting. We've seen Anubarak once again, and a lot of people were saying how Anubarak was not going to be very good after the changes on him. But I've seen him. I believe this is the 4th time I've seen an Anubarak pick today.
Yeah, we've been seeing him actually more often than not. And we did actually see him in the H sale this week at the Europe side of things because we're a little bit faster to their tournament matches than we are here as we waited for the weekend. But Anubarak and Brightwing, to add to this, it feels like, the Anubarak's not really there for the tanking. It's really just the pure control, and they set up for the Wombo. If they can get the big damage off the back of those stuns, or they can at least have the threat of those long-range stuns, it's going to dissuade things like Strafe. It's going to dissuade things like the Nazebo, which I've seen twice today now.
Yes.
A little bit of more of a comeback, going back to the meta kind of thing, way back almost, early September, I want to say. I think that's when
it was all Wombo combo.
Yeah, it was all Wombo combo. We saw Diablos back then for the Apocalypse.
Gazlo, ETC, Zeratul, just these ridiculous Wombo combos.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. He's still really good in terms of a double CC, and if you don't get a Stitches, Anubarak in terms of a tank is probably the next best thing when it comes to the burst CC. And as you said as well, combo that with the Brightwing, who can now rewind and double get those polymorphs, that's a lot of CC to deal with.
Yes. That's a lot of CC, and it's, I don't know what to say about it. It's pretty straightforward when you're able to take someone out of the match, single target CC consistently like that. It's just so strong and hard to deal with, and I think that's why Brightwing is really going to start to be picked even more than normal in my personal opinion, and I mean that seems to be the case for the Kings of the Storm this weekend, because I've seen her pretty much almost every single game that I've casted, with minor exception, the Brightwing pick coming in there. I mean, she was being picked up on a regular basis anyways, but then the rewind change really gave her that extra umph to where I think we're going to be seeing her even more. And I like it because Brightwing is actually my personal favorite hero in the game. And another interesting thing to talk about is how I already touched on a little bit, is how Chen gets so. I mean, if you can actually just kill a Chen with Brightwing, once she hits level 16, you can just kill a Chen outright by the time he's able to get off his Panda Palace, because they get the damage increase on polymorph. You can do 2 polymorphs in succession without it breaking, and that's essentially 4 to 6 seconds, depending on if he has Relentless or not, of just CC, hard CC with 25% extra damage. And as I say that, Glorious Gaming going, we don't care, picking a Chen Tassadar as their next picks.
Chen Tassadar. All right, so a lot of people have been looking at Tassadar in a very hard light. You know, he's not exactly the big damage dealer that he used to be. He is technically a support. He is now classified as a support, and we're now actually seeing many more support kind of builds coming out of him. You can't increase your side damage. That was something that kind of miscalled a little bit ago. So you can either go for the range or for the mana return. We've actually been seeing a lot of things related to void shifts, dimensional shifts, trying to just stay alive. You've also had the timer shaved off a little bit there for the Archon. Overall, I think the Tassadar is actually a lot more stronger in terms of support rather than the dealing of the damage. But, you know, we're 4 days into this patch. A lot of people still really expect him to do that damage, and wow, I am just getting spoiled today, Shane.
Yes. Once again, it's all you, man.
Rainer and Hammer. It's a good StarCraft duo if I've ever heard of them. And once again, we're also seeing this new meta comp. 1 tank, 1 healer.
Yes. Yeah, one warrior. Warrior, I don't know.
Sorry,
Hammer's
yes,
tank.
tank.
Sorry,
yeah.
Didn't pan out. It did not pan out as I thought it was. That's okay though. But they still have 2 resurgences though, as Hammer generally gets resurgence at level 20. So this how we've been talking about the towers and the changes to the towers, it really has benefited, I feel like, specialists as a whole. We've seen witch doctors. We saw Zagara in the first game. That was Faye Zagara, who I personally think is one of the best Zagaras in the world. It's ridiculous. Obviously, this is the 2nd time in a row we've seen Hammer. So specialists are really starting to shine, it seems, initially, in this new patch, in the new meta, if you will, because just they're able to push down those early towers and secure themselves an experience advantage. And if it's one team that tends to do that, it's Glorious Gaming, as they've always been known for using the early game to such great advantage.
Indeed, sir. All right, last pickup here going to be the Uther. Needed a heals, but if you look at this is a Protect the Falstad, and I don't want to say Protect the Hammer, but it's a triple assassin with Hammer, Rainer, Tychus up against a very tanky comp of Arthas, Chen, Tassadar, Uther. Just based upon the fact that we're also going into Dragonshire, I might actually just tip the scales here to Evil Geniuses right here.
I actually agree with you. I think their early game laning is a little bit better, even though Chen, his early game isn't the best. He definitely starts to scale a little bit later into the game. I really like their early lane. They have so many different configurations that they'll be able to do with laning, and they'll have so much. They have so many tools to keep people off the shrine, to sustain themselves and keep themselves on the shrines as well. So I really like that. I'm sorry, Evil Genius doesn't have Chen. It's glorious. Disregard everything I have said. This is game 3 for the 3rd place match. Half-Life 3 confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. The gates are about to go down. Over on the left side in your map is Glorious Gaming in blue, Glarong playing Chen, Syracuse playing Tassadar, Nirak playing Uther, ZP playing Arthas, and Cthulhu playing Falstad. On the right side of your map, we have Equinox on Tychus. We have Mookie Pants on Anubarak. You have Rusty playing the Brightwing Idra on the Hammer, and Faye on the Raynor. And I just realized Evil Genius's draft is very similar to last game's draft.
Yeah, extremely similar. And it is definitely a little bit more closer to, once again, the newer team comps, the newer meta, possibly from this patch. Ooh, Glorang. How did Glorang take so much damage already? Equinox doing work. But it is really just reliant upon that one that one warrior in the front, Rusty in the back with the heals and the rewind just to try to keep him up. But triple assassin wombos. Again, Anubarak is actually a really good pick for this because with those double stuns, if you can even get a single kill from those double stuns, you're now in a 4v5 situation and you're looking at 3 assassins in your face.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage coming out there, and it's going to be really interesting, especially when you take into account a Dragon Knight on top of it. So that's going to be, I'm looking forward to it. But looking at the laning configuration, no surprise to anyone, there's focus on the bottom lane. And in case you guys are just tuning in or you haven't heard, there has been a fairly significant change on Dragon Charter, and that is the bottom, what I used to call the neutral camp, all the way in the south side of the map, is no longer an ogre camp, a siege ogre camp. It is now a bruiser camp. What used to be known as the night camp is now a bruiser camp. So, but there's still a lot of focus on the bottom lane just because it is still 3 mercenary camps going to the same lane. So teams are still putting priority on the bottom lane regardless of that change.
Well, I mean, you still have 3 creep camps in and around the place. Yep. Wow, Tychus is really going ham into that top lane. Tychus early game will not win against these 2 tanks. I figured he was actually going to play a little bit more safe, but turns out as soon as he left that gate, he just got jumped. And that's actually going to be a little bit of an experience disadvantage going the way of Evil Geniuses because we got 2 top pushing in for a tower, which is going to add a little bit of salt to the wound, but we also have nobody here to pick up the experience, and now Equinox is going to be really late to that party. Idra taking some good damage in the bottom lane, trading out with Coffin Luck, but 4 to almost 5 now. Glorong, you know, he traded out his hit points, but they got that tower, and so far Idra is not really pushing in. Oh, he kind of sieged a little too far away.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm sure he'll correct that next time he gets an opportunity to do so, but Glorious Gaming is tired of that noise. They went in there and pushed Idra specifically away from that. And now the Shires, this is the Hobbit. The Shrines are up. Idra needs to be careful, though. He's real low. I think he's going to boost away to safety.
Yeah, you should be able to tap that fountain and then just rely on Rusty passive heals at the same time. But not if he gets that close to a Coffin Luck. I mean, he's not level 7. We don't have the boomerang, but still, you throw a hammer and you can just easily get off a lightning storm, especially with stuns from Nirak. Either way, double Shrine's going to go the way of Glorong, who's about to become a sandwich between Equinox and Mookie, but he should be living through that one. Here comes the Arthas now as well. So ZP's leaving that top lane. Then maybe a little bit too little too late. Bottom lane is going to go over to Evil Geniuses, but wow, are they actually losing the hit point war?
Yeah, they sure are. Evil Geniuses are looking a little sketchy here, but at the same time, Glorious Gaming does have the experience advantage, though, which obviously that's the one you're worried about. I mean, look at that, Sean. It's about a 2/3 of a level lead, just 3.5 minutes into the game. And now they have both the Shrines. There's a little bit of a standoff here mid lane to try to get the dragon. But I think, yep, Equinox is rotating down to mid lane. They're not soaking top anymore, so they're sacrificing some experience here. But here comes EP on the Arthas, trying to clean it up as well. Equinox is very low. Glareon is so low too. Oh my lord. Okay, both going down at the same time. Cthulhu now rotating in here. Have a little bit of just some people tagging in and tagging out. Mookie Pants, bro charging away. Can he get? Oh no, ZP accidentally death coiled the gate instead. Oh man, that's frustrating. But Glorious Gaming are able to secure themselves a relatively early dragon, and they're going to be getting these mid-tier 1 towers down, giving them a further experience advantage going on into the mid-game.
Yeah, a 4-minute dragon is not too shabby whatsoever. And again, now that towers do give this experience, you're going to see big emphasis on getting turrets and getting out. They are going to take home this first set, and now Coffin Luck is going to retreat a little bit. I think they're just going to try to push out bot a bit, try to conserve the hit points and see how many flame breaths they can actually get off on the back of this. But again, you can't target Coffin Luck. You can't target these dragons anymore. So they feel a little bit more frail than anything, and they're really going to actually just go off of regen orbs. That's quite interesting. Still, looks like Evil Genius is not too worried about bottoms. They're pressuring out the top. They will lose out that tower. But 3 towers for that Dragon Knight puts them in a big advantage for the level.
Yep. Almost an entire level. They're about to hit level 10. This is looking almost like the opposite of last game, where except Evil Geniuses was in this position. Glorious Gaming was the one down on experience. And yep, they now have the level 10, and EG is just now hitting level 9. So they're going to see some rotations and see what Glorious Gaming is going to do with this window of opportunity that they have.
Ooh, Right Wing went promote. That's...
Ah, really?
Don't know if that was a misclick or if they're trying something, but promote widely regarded as not worth taking anymore.
I mean, people still take it on. I've seen people still taking it on Abathur just because he can, you know, time it to where he can use it when it needs to be used. But yeah, that's definitely an interesting decision. That I don't know if that was a misclick or, I mean, they do have a Rainer, so they do have the push capabilities with a Rainer, but I mean, that's about it. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll ask him after the game, see if that was intentional or not, but and how that pays off as the game goes on. But right now, Glorious Gaming are rotating to that once Ogre camp, now Bruiser camp, to just push down this lane, see if they can get a really strong push going with the Ogres and the Bruisers together.
Also, something else to note is that Anumarak not going the typical range build. He is the Beetle build. Beetlejuice.
Wow.
We'll
I don't want to say it again. I don't want to say
if
it
he
again.
gets Beetlejuice. Yeah.
That's true. I don't want to say it again and then summon and then he doesn't get it and then the reference is lost. And I don't want to do that. But bottom lane is getting pushed with the Ogres and the Bruiser camp at the same time. This is a really strong push. Both teams do have their heroics though. So Evil Geniuses definitely has the tools and the capabilities of defending this and possibly getting even more out of this exchange.
Who cares that Idra's actually not sieging up? Like, just siege up right beside that keep. You got your Hyper Coil, you got Rusty and Faye right there. The splash damage would do wonders. The extra range would do wonders as well. You can get some good pot shots off, just like they're trying to do here up against Syracuse. He should be able to just Archon into this one, but Mookie Pants in the back. Double stuns coming up. Again, they're looking for those positions. Shockanon's going to come out. Doesn't quite connect on the people that they want it to, and some low hit points all around, but it's not going to be any kind of kills. Didn't have Glorong in that fight. He's actually top dealing with some of these Knights, and I think Knights might actually take home a tower on the back of that. But hey, Evil Geniuses, they saved out the fort. It's kind of low-hanging fruit though, and now they're doing a little bit of their own counter push here in the mid.
Yep, and Glorious Gaming are putting themselves for out. They have both the shrines, but Evil Geniuses are having a little powwow mid lane here, so I don't think any one person is gonna. Are they gonna try to ninja in there? Glaurung is not Zeratul this time. I know he was able to ninja one earlier. But that's not gonna happen this time. Here we go. Equinox hitting that big red button. ZP's very low. He needs to death point himself up. There's the Army Ghouls and the Holy Light. He's still very, very low. He looks like he is gonna be able to get away. No one going down quite yet. Glaurung is gonna use his Panda Pulse to keep himself up. Equinox zone is down. This is a good opportunity for them to pick him off, but he running guns away to safety. People are just going back and forth. And back and forth, no one going down quite yet. Glorious Gaming does have level 13. Evil Geniuses does not. But wow, so many ultimates were blown. So many people got so low, but no kills were actually taken in that exchange. In
fact, every ultimate is actually down.
Yeah.
Nurak just had his Divine Storm come up, and of course, you can't really count the Napalm Strike because that has an inherently small cooldown. Anyways, Mookie Pants up top, though, is going to get that shrine, and we did ninja out that bottom. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody mid to capitalize, and Syracuse wouldn't let you capitalize anyways. Yep. So it's not really a missed opportunity, but you know that momentary panic that you always have is like, oh crap, they got both of them, better go mid. Syracuse was all over it. So cool as a cucumber, ZP and crew are going to hold this experience lead. They're still a solid level ahead of Evil Geniuses, and well, a little bit more now that that fort got sniped out by the boomerang. So we're seeing Glorious Gaming have more cerebral gameplay. They're not doing that just, hey, let's go kill some people. They're definitely being smarter about their movements and their rotations, and it's paying off dividends for them. They have, as you mentioned before, a solid level lead. They're able to get themselves at the fort bottom lane without any really other objectives. They didn't have an ogre camp or anything like that. Obviously, the objectives allowed them and gave them that opportunity to do so, and they jumped on it. And just continuing to make very, very smart plays across the map, not overcommitting anything. And speaking of commitment, here we go. A good Emerald win, knocking around Uther and ZP, but not much follow-up. And now they have the opportunity to get into the team fight and do damage. Shakana hits Faye and Equinox, but that was an Odin Equinox, so that's not really going to mean that much. Mookie Pants, very low. He gets taken down. The Locust Storm not able to keep himself up. Equinox, apparently he thinks he's a tank. He's going to get blown up by that Divine Storm. So right now, Glorious Gaming is pushing Evil Geniuses around, and that is a 2-for-0 exchange going the way of Glorious Gaming. And this is a good opportunity for them to potentially pick up a dragon. Equinox was really far forward in that fight. Not entirely too sure what was going on there. But again, we're playing a little bit Ring Around the Rosie in the top and the bottom shrines as they're going back and forth. But still a kill on Arthas. In the bottom, Faye, Idra, and Rusty able to take home at least that kill on the Lich King. And that means that this shrine is not going to be going anywhere. And we're not going to have a knight quite yet. Glaring there in the mid. Cawthon Lux is actually going to be the one starting off his own bruisers as EG is still very occupied in this bottom lane. Idra's not sieging up. He's not doing any of these big damages. He's almost playing just extremely defensively. He does not want to get caught. If he gets caught once, he knows that it's going to be a significant disadvantage for the team. But they're not setting up any kind of advantages here with the siege tank either. Yeah. Not pushing out any of these towers. They need as much experience as they can because we're about to hit 16 now for Glorious.
Yes, and one thing to note, ZP going relentless and also following up with the stone skin. I'm sorry, I was going to say something, but then I realized that it's nothing really notable. So disregard what I was about to say. But the other thing I wanted to say is that Evil Geniuses can absolutely have the tools to blow up ZP. They have 2 giant killers, Tychus and Raynar, who are some of the best single target assassins in the game. They have the CC coming out of Brightwing, and especially if he goes to damage amplification. So ZP, I mean, normally we see Arthas is just go in there disregarding everyone, but Evil Geniuses definitely has the tools and capabilities to blow him up before he really achieves anything. There is a Emerald Win, but Glaring using the Phantom Pals to avoid it. And that's what I'm talking about. ZP just needs to be so very careful, but Rusty on the Brightwing gets taken out. Equinox, that Odin is already down. Brightwing is already down. A new bracket solo. He's gonna be able to get away. Oh, he gets taken out at the same time. Equinox almost killed off Glaring on that Shin, but he's gonna be able to retreat. Calhoun Luck, barrel rolling away. He does not want to go down here as Idra is using the boosters. I don't know if Nirek has mana for a Holy Light or not. God, everyone is so low once again. These team fights are just, everyone is so very low. And in the midst of it, there's a Dragon Knight. Glaron going up there and to get in a Dragon, and now he's gonna get that top fort. And this is just very well played by them. Even though that team fight was kind of all over the place, Glaring made a great play there by backing up and getting the Dragon.
The shock and awe combo deleting the Brightwing definitely put Evil Geniuses in the red in that fight. And you saw it, very low hit points across the board there from Glorious, but there's very little that Evil Geniuses could actually do in terms of the sustain.
Yeah.
So, they chased and they chased and they tried, but unfortunately they were not able to capitalize on any kill. And as you said, they lost out the Dragon Knight, top fort down, mid is not looking so healthy. Glaurung is just really putting it to him. We do now have the 16 talents here for Evil Geniuses, so if they want to put up a big defense, they can. Not a lot of heroics are up, however, and that means that we're not really going to be able to unload the big wombos, unload the big damage, and down goes the fort. Level 17, almost 18 as Glaurung is still pressing in. And there we go. It's going to be out with the Dragon Knight, but still in with the map pressure for Glorious.
Oh, yes. Yeah, all the tier 1 outer forts are down. And at the same time, Glorious has every single one of their forts down, and a good majority of their towers as well are still being picked up. So this is definitely, they're starting to constrict Evil Geniuses to their base, and that is never a position you want to be in. That's such a hard place to get out of, especially when you start getting into the late game Dragon Knights where they can just knock on your door and there's nothing you can do about it, and all of a sudden the keep is down. But they're going to be rotating down to the map. They know they're at this Bruiser camp. Equinox laying down the overkill on the Glaurung. He's going to be able to get away. Phase shift coming in from Rusty to get himself into that team fight. I'm curious as to what Glorious Gaming is going to do with these Knights, or I'm sorry, with these Bruisers. Are they going to really push this here, or are they just going to kind of just like sit back, let them do some damage, and then fall back to another objective? But there's really not another objective to fall back to, Sean.
Well, keep, I guess.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, but
that's fall forward.
But that's what you said. I mean, you don't want to be constricted to your base. You don't want to be on that defensive position. One of the advantages, though, of Sergeant Hammer is that not only is she an excellent offense, she's also an excellent defense, especially with siege mode, especially with range and bumpy mines, which I think is the common term of them these days, but it's the bullhead mines. And the double mine addition to it as well can really do some fun things. So right now, in terms of the fun things, we had a little bit of an engage, a little bit of ambush from Glorious, but they didn't actually follow through with it. And now I think either they're looking for a better position to do this, or they're just flat out scared of something. It doesn't make too much sense.
Equinox prematurely used his ultimate, and Glorious Gaming went, okay, and they just ran away. That's pretty much was the engagement.
Birth. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, okay, we're just going to run away, and now you don't have an Odin for the next 60 to 80 seconds. So that's kind of a bit, I mean, look at the cooldowns. They're down. Evil Geniuses only has Locust Swarm up, while over on the side of Glorious, they have every single one of their ultimates up. So there's definitely a moment of opportunity for them to pounce onto that.
I guess they were scared of like just giving up too much experience. Like even if they had traded even on that team part, even if they had won that team fight, if they hadn't come up to respond to this fort, then they probably would have lost it. If they hadn't...
FaZe's going to be taking down. They're starting to interrupt your Sean, but FaZe just going to get blown up. She got completely caught out of position. I mean, Rusty gets caught out of position. She able to get an Emerald Wind off, but EG getting caught with their pants down there. And now
that was a much
Glorious Gaming is yes, much better. And Glorious Gaming are now starting to just, I mean, they've been dominant this whole game, but this is the point where it can turn in from just, you know, having map pressure and, you know, keeping them inside of the base. And they're like, okay, now is our chance. We are bringing the pain to you. They have a 16-minute Dragon Knight. They're on the cusp of hitting level 20. Big window opportunity for Glorious Gaming to secure themselves a victory here.
Yeah, every tower inches them closer to 20. Every keep from here on out is going to be permanent catapult pressure. And at the same time, we're still down 2 defenders. You can't fight this, EG, and look at that.
No.
The numbers just don't lie. Equinox has to blow out everything. The Stone Skin, the first aid, he has to stay alive. Idra's putting down the mines, but there ain't going to be anybody coming up to him. You can see Syracuse, he's just going to be in the back. Same with the team. They got their towers. They're almost 20. The rest of EG is now up, so they're going to try to take their Dragon Knight elsewhere, but he has 2% hit points.
Yeah, wow, they actually weren't able to get the keep there, so a successful defense from Evil Geniuses. That's rather surprising, but well played by them. So they still have that keep up. I don't think they have any mules on their team. They don't even have any no, they don't have any mules, so the keep is very, very low. It's down to less than a quarter HP, so it's definitely susceptible to any backdoor shenanigans if Glorious Gaming choose to do that, but they are just about to hit level 20. Let's see if maybe they decide to use their level 20 advantage to finish off that keep.
Triple!
Oh my lord. That triple resurgence. Even Uther deciding not to go Divine Hurricane and going with the resurgence instead. That's an interesting decision. I've seen it before, but I mean, the Divine Hurricane is an extremely strong talent on Uther.
Oh,
he's deciding to forego it. Rusty is gonna get taken out here. There's the Divine Storm, not the Divine Hurricane. I live in Florida, so I'm used to hurricanes. Alas, I'm gonna have to get used to that. Just a little bit of a storm. And now is the time for them to finish off this keep. Yeah,
we can put down as many mines as we want here, but Taster's is going to clean them up. The creeps can even come in and soak them. Like, Idra is not going to be able to siege mode at all because that fort is made of paper. We also have those giants in the back pushing up, and that is, again, level 20 to 18. It's really hard to fight this, even if they team wipe Glorious. 3 of them are going to come back with the resurgence, and it's just, the map pressure is just not going to be there. Evil Geniuses, as I said, confined to the base. They don't have a healer. They can't engage this. They're down a keep. They're down the levels, and it's just feeling like very opposite to the last game. It's now the noose tied around Evil Genius's neck. It's Glorious is in a fantastic position to take this 3rd place map.
They're doing what teams do when they're in this position. The Dragon Knight's not up. Let's go ahead and just take all the camps, keep all the lanes pushed in, look for an opportunity for a pickoff for a team fight, and then just kind of go from there and don't overcommit. And Glorious Gaming haven't really made any huge overcommitments. They're a veteran experienced team. I don't foresee that happening. So they're definitely in a very solid position to slowly asphyxiate Evil Geniuses inside of their base, just take map control and get that and translate that into a victory.
You know, I've been reading some Reddit posts about like Abathur's trying to solo out these bruiser camps, and they can't. But I still don't really see anybody else having trouble with them. The scaling did change, believe it or not. They're supposed to be much tougher in the late game. But still, when you have teams this late, 21 minutes, level 21 in 19 minutes, it's a pretty good average in terms of level a minute. And just the power underneath these teams. We've seen now the triple assassin comp a few times today. It's worked in some cases, but going back to more traditional things, like with the lineup here of Glorious, they're proven that, this new meta is not the only meta that can still work.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of that. I always like it. The variety in this particular scenario, I think, is a very good thing, especially once Thrall hits there. That's going to be real interesting. But, oh, wow. What? Oh, my lord. Equinox, what are you doing? A fully mistake from Equinox. Unfortunately, it was not nice and powerful enough to get that. Yeah, I mean, that's a 20-minute Dragon Knight. They still don't have level 20. That could absolutely, I mean, definitely this keep. But for sure, this is a good opportunity for them to just seal the deal and get the kill the core. Yeah, they're going for it. Look at them going down bottom lane. And they're going to try to end this game right now.
Yeah, the good old symbiote, the good old Glorious aggression. If there ain't, take the path of least resistance. If there's no keep, well, that just means take the core. The bumpy mines coming in is going to try to just delay them. But here goes Glorong. That's going to be a fantastic hook there from ZTs, just keeping them, keeping the enemy team ready to go. That's going to be a polymorph build to try to keep him at bay. Idra in the back with the first hit. They might actually defend this. Glorong has taken a hell of a lot of damage, and they've not even broken the shield.
Yeah, that's the new tankiness of the core showing itself. We talked about it earlier. I don't know if they're still going to be able to defend this. The core's down to 50%. They're desperately trying to keep them off of it, but ZP's as Army Ghouls, Nirak using the Divine Storm, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Glorious Gaming securing themselves 3rd place here in Kings of the Storm week number 5.
Congratulations to them. Very hard fought. This was the only game series in the best of 3 format that went to a game 3. Very impressive stuff from both teams. And, you know, there's a lot of shakeups with the new patch, with the roster changes. I mean, we now have 2 Cloud9 rosters. We've been seeing a lot of subs going around, new teams emerging like Barrel Boys. I mean, the scene is starting to really, really pick up. And with this new meta, with these new teams, you know, there's a lot of shift in power. And Evil Geniuses and Glorious so neck and neck for all 3 of their games.
Yes. And that, don't forget, that is Evil Geniuses with a sub as well.
2
so
subs.
LZ, 2 subs, yeah. And I know LZ Gamer, he said somewhere, I don't remember where.
So
he said he's off in the, he's in a tropical cruise. So he's like, screw this noise. I'm going out and having some margaritas and getting away. I don't know where he lives, but if he lives where it's cold, I'm sure he's enjoying that. I've only seen snow like 3 times in my life, so I don't know how that is.
You worst thing.
From what everyone tells me, everyone hates it. They're like, it's so cold. I never want to live here. I'm moving to Florida. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm a Canadian. I got all the seasons all year. I wear sandals 24/7, 365.
That's the way to do it, man.
Get on my level, man.
That Hobbit life.
I master the elements. They don't mean a thing to me.
Master the elements. All right, Thrall. He's not in the game quite yet, but we know
he's
Sean
my spirit.
Will absolutely be playing him. Give a little update into the grand finals that are ongoing right now. It's 1-1, Simbi Gaming and Cloud9, and they're 22 minutes. Yeah, they're 22 minutes into Dragonshire, and the game, from what I'm looking at right now, is very, very even. So that's...
All right, so you know what to do, guys. We're going to wrap up here. We're going to host Solid Jake GG. You need to go over there. You need to see these finals because these teams are definitely worth it. We've seen a lot of good things today. Thank you so much, Mr. Shane Gucher, filling in for Kevin Naki here for this 3rd place match. I'm sorry I didn't have the graphics for you, but where can people find you if they liked what they heard?
You can find me over on Twitch at... handle is Shane Gucher Gaming. That's my name with the word gaming afterwards. And over on Twitter, it's just Shane Gucher. I'm fairly active on Twitter. If you guys are into NASA, I actually have pictures from the launch I went to this week. It was totally awesome. I got some very cool swag. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I'm actually wearing an Orion launch pin on my suit. I got some cool swag right here. I don't know why. I'm going on a tangent. Don't care. It's NASA. Look at all this swag I got, dude. It was so cool. It was amazing. I'm such a nerd. I love it. So you can find me over there on Twitter. You can also find me on a weekly show I do, which is rather new, trying to build up with my good friend Xander on Rewind, which is just at Heroes Rewind on Twitter and Heroes Rewind on Twitch. You can check me out there as well. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me, Sean. It was a blast. I always love casting with you, and I hope to cast with you more in the future.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun time. Thank you so much for stepping in because solo casting sucks. If you guys did like what you hear, like what you see, of course, all the production here, FourCourtJester, you are on my channel. Hit the buttons because I definitely appreciate it no matter how mad I get at you for the draft mode and me leaving it on because I'm silly like that. But Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, FourCourtJester, find me out there. Send me the feedback because I absolutely love this game, love casting it, and I love hanging out with cool people and watching the pros as they do their thing. Congratulations, Glorious, 3rd place. They get the points this week. Go on over to Solid Jake GG. Hit up those finals. I'm going to throw it into host mode. And it has been a pleasure, Mr. Shane. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys in the Nexus.